He
Oh my god! It is
he
Tervis.
waited.
It's Tervis Tumbler.
It's a
You really
Tervis tumbler, but
Service.
like it's
this.
it's ant like it's superhero manatees. So it's like aqua manatee,
That's where you got your name from.
super
That's
manatee,
right.
bat
That's fancy
manatee,
fancy baseball name. That's what it was.
Fantasy
spider
baseball,
manatees. Yeah.
the
Spider
Aqua
Manatee's good.
Manatees. I was always like, what was that name from? It's because he has a random Tervis Tumbler with them on it.
I just found that when I was like, it was like probably 10 years ago. I found that artist and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like I bought shirts, I got a turban, like I literally went all out. I was like, I couldn't help but just the stupidity of superhero manatees.
They're mostly near Florida, right? Like, where does the manatee originate at?
I mean, I don't know where it originated, but yeah, there's a lot in Florida. Like you go kayaking in Florida and you're
They get hit by
thumping a
boats and
manatee.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So
heard they have problems with the propellers. Like, they
yeah,
get,
I mean, yeah, because they're just like they're on the surface and boats are moving fast and
exactly.
that's it. They get cut up. The blubbers gets chopped. So I think that's a scientific term, right?
Another Animal Planet football podcast show.
Yeah, let's just hit the intro and get into it, huh? We are back. It's another fantasy football show presented by Sports Injury Central. I'm Justin here with Taylor and Jacob. Guys, obviously we weren't on last week. It was the week after championship week. Obviously, there was a lot going on last week. I don't know if you noticed. Probably if you followed us at our website, sixscore.com, you probably know what's going on. Or if you just watched any sports at all, obviously what happened with Damar Hamlin over the past week, that whole saga was unlike anything we've ever seen, and it was hard to focus on fantasy football, especially when we're talking about championships and how things kind of played out. And Wednesday after that happened, not a good look to go on and be like, man, Jamar Chase didn't get me what I needed. But no, we obviously pushed it back. We wanted to get into this, and I'm glad to be back because we are still going to be producing content throughout the off season.
Right.
And we're going to kind of dip our toes into Dynasty fantasy football a little bit today, and throughout the off season we'll be touching on some more Dynasty stuff. But it's real life playoffs now. Fantasy football season is officially over. Like obviously in bulk it is, but DFS is still happening every day. Obviously, it's daily fantasy is what they call it. So.
Yep.
Days off in DFS.
Yeah, that's dangerous though. DFS can be. That's dangerous.
You need to
but
definitely take days off, but yeah.
yeah. So let's get into a couple things affecting this weekend. We can touch on it a little bit. Obviously, it's Sports Injury Central. It's an injury website. We got some stuff going on leading into the wild card round of the playoffs. Interesting things that may have an impact on next season as well. But let's go down that list real quick of players affected this weekend.
Yeah, I see the two biggest names of the day, Tua and Lamar. Tua is still in concussion protocol with his second, maybe wink third concussion, so not expecting him back at any point in the playoffs. I mean, maybe the later rounds, but I don't see the Dolphins chancing that, and the Pro Football Docs agree. Just better to err on the safe side with head injuries and all that stuff. Don't rush him back, especially you got the rest factor. He's already missed 3 weeks, and this would be the fourth. Fourth would be next week. Lamar, a little bit more interesting situation with the contract. Obviously, it's coming into focus. A lot of people commenting on it. 16th straight missed practice. He's missed 4 weeks. This would be the 5th if he ends up sitting. So medically, he can probably go out there, be a pocket passer, a little bit mobile, but it's up to him whether he wants to play for a team in the wild card that didn't lock him up long term and give him guaranteed money. So I don't blame it all. I don't blame him at all for making a decision.
It's an interesting one, right? I don't know how I don't know how it looks, like how it's perceived outside of that franchise. And obviously it's something that we're going to be talking about in the offseason to figure out if he's even going to be a Raven next year. So like the Lamar Jackson watch is officially, it's now. If it wasn't on already, it's on now.
It's now, yeah.
Yeah, it's happening now.
It's already an interesting offseason for the Jets and now the Ravens.
The dynamic that's happening, right? If you got to think, even if you were still slightly injured enough to you're in the playoffs. Like this is it. Like you're playing the game to win a championship, and the fact that he's just not. I can't speculate. I'm not seeing him on a day-to-day basis. I don't know how badly this injury really is, but I mean, all analysis from our website and anybody else that's seen it, it says
he should be pushing, ready to go.
Should be pretty close, if not there right now. So he's not, and that's an interesting dynamic. I don't know how to.
And we don't want to jump the gun and say he's 100% not playing. It just the DMP Wednesday raises an eyebrow. He still could LP Thursday, LP Friday and play, but it does raise an eyebrow because why wouldn't he be LP today?
The one shared things between Tua and Lamar, I'll say, is like both these teams really shouldn't be there. Like their injuries are enough that like they probably aren't confident in their team, and they don't have the talent there. Like you got so many defensive injuries Baltimore's been dealt with all year. They still have them. Like they've got healthy in some, but like they still have offensive line issues. Wide receivers are all out, right? Bateman's been out.
Did their wide receivers go catchless last week?
Yeah, like
in the first half for sure. I don't know if they with the whole game, but it hasn't been pretty in the passing game.
It hasn't been a good offense without Lamar, so I think he has that to say enough. That's the one thing I will say about him too. I really think he should be playing. I agree on some of the points. I know you said behind the scenes that like teams don't care. Like this is Lamar. If you have a chance to pay him, you're going to pay him. You're going to give him whatever money you want. But like, I don't know if it looks good because like all these Baltimore players on the team, like I just said, they've been injured all year. Like they're busting their ass to like play and like win a wild card round. Maybe they don't go far for how many, what they're dealing with, but like people should be fighting, right? And if you see your leader not fighting, it should raise some eyebrows behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. It definitely kind of burns the bridge, right? Like if they know he's just dogging it right now, then he's not coming back as a Raven. That's not going to happen. So
like Deshaun, like I know he got the money and they know he has the talent there, but you don't think behind the scenes some players are like, he's kind of weird, right?
You're right.
Like,
100%.
I totally understand like what you're saying though. Like he's going to get that money, but I just don't think he needed to do this unless
it's kind of getting to the point where like you're almost like you could like players now can sign a 5-year, 4-year, like let's pretend they signed a 5-year contract, and in reality it's only 4, right? Like that last year, if this is the precedent now, then the last year is just I want to protect me. You know what I mean? You're not getting that player for the last year. So there's a weird, I don't know how that,
You sign this big deal because it's from like an agent standpoint. Like, oh, I just got my guy a 5-year, $100 million. But now in reality, it's like 1 year with an opt out. If you suck, then he doesn't really get any, he gets barely anything. Half of them are in the NFL. Half of them are not even guaranteed like other sports, right? So it's just the number looks good when you put it out there from like your agency standpoint. But like, a lot of times they're never seeing that whole deal, right? Like,
yeah, and I don't know what the fix is, but maybe that's something that's addressed in an off season in the future. Like that's something that needs to be addressed from obviously the players are happy because they're protecting themselves, but at what point is a contract not a contract? I don't know how you'd read. That's another conversation for another day. A little above our pay grade at this point, but that's something that definitely to monitor throughout the offseason is what's going on with Lamar Jackson. Again, we don't know if he's not going to play, like you said, Jacob. But it kind of looks like it, right? Like how are you just gonna show up? I don't know.
Well, just last thing on Marley.
Oh my bad, Jacob. Go on.
Yeah, just it's wild that J.K. Dobbins is right there in the backfield with his knee. Obviously, we documented the issues with that and his complicated recovery from multi-ligament tear. He's out there and he's playing. So
Ronnie Stanley's ankle is not. I don't know if it's attached to his body right now. Like he's playing through crazy.
Bed rest for the rest of his life. Yeah.
Yes, like at least that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it looks good to not go out there and try a little bit. Like I know he's going to get the money, but I don't know if his rep doesn't take a hit. I feel like it has to.
There's so many angles to it, from the locker room to just player safety to contract and all this stuff.
It's a lot to unpack, and we just have to sit back and watch it at this point. And it will affect people. Dynasty owners of him are something that we're going to follow throughout the offseason and see what happens. But definitely an exciting thing to check out. Those are probably the two biggest factors going into the playoffs right now.
I did want to add something on Tua though. Yeah. Like Tua, is a different story. Don't put him out there. Like we talked about 6 score. The bookend tackles. Terran Armstead, the big money guy. He's not 100%. He can't block.
Got 4 issues.
Yeah, like Macarena. Like just pick one. And then you got the right tackle who's kind of been solidified because Brandon Shell is a decent veteran. Now he's hurt. So if you have to start a third string at right tackle, there's no protection for a guy that has 2 to 3 concussions. So don't put him out there. And this is also a team that's not they're not 100% on the defensive side either. They've had no two cornerback all year. The third's been out since week 3 or 4. They're barely solidified that side. Strong safety's been out too.
They're limping in the playoffs and facing the
Yeah,
Bills.
so like,
yeah,
why push a guy that's on the brink of having issues his rest of his career? So I don't know.
Yeah, it is a different dynamic with Tua, obviously,
Yes.
and it is he's so young and he's showed flashes. You don't want to push him out and ruin his career right now. He's somebody it's not like you'll never make the playoffs again. My Dolphins have a pretty decent team, so I mean, if you could just get a healthy Tua throughout the year, another offseason of development, I think it's going to be fine for them. But that's the big stuff going into the playoffs this weekend. But what we want to do on this show, we did dudes and duds every single week all season long. I think now we need to officially wrap up the season by giving out a dude and a dud of the year for each of us. One of us may have already done it probably 10 weeks ago, but let's just get into it now.
Dudes and duds
of the year. That was an ad lib. I didn't make a new one. Not that I made these again. If it's just like the ongoing joke, I didn't actually make any of these. But okay, let's just get into it. Who wants to go first? Let's do dudes of the years first. I guess I could just get mine out of the way because we already know it, right? You want me to just do it?
Yes, I think that's appropriate.
Anybody who's been listening to this, I crowned him probably a little prematurely, right? And then immediately after crowning him dude of the year in probably the first third of the season, there was a little drop off, right? I got a little scared, a little hesitant, but I stuck with it because I already kind of proclaimed it. But dude of the year, Jared Josh Goff.
Long pat on the back too, by the way. Like I know you're loving this right now.
I'm loving it. I stuck with it. I felt really good about it at the time. The offense there was explosive in Detroit. I really loved that team. They freaking absolutely crushed my Packers at the last week of the season. It sucked. What sucked, I think, the worst about that situation, real quick, is that Seattle got in and it wasn't the Lions. Like I really wish it was the Lions.
Nobody wanted that.
Everybody wanted to see the Lions, and they earned it. And I feel like that they should have got it. But
8-2 in their last 10.
They're hot.
8-2 in their last 10 games, and they don't get in. Come on.
That team with Dan Campbell at the helm is scary going into next year, especially with the picks that they have. They're gonna look really good next year, and that's
they're drafting really, really well.
Jameson Williams,
and that's
a huge part of it next year.
Yeah, and dude of the year, Jared Goff. Like he's not going anywhere. They're not replacing him. He's been pretty good. And especially with the talent around him, I think they got their guy for now.
I will say that they might have wanted to replace him, but I don't think they should at all now. I think he was because they were going to have a pick that they'd be like, oh, let me get Stroud, let me get Young, maybe. But now, like you said, like let's get something else to fill another need because I think we're good with this kid.
They can. He's not super old. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's serviceable enough. Like worse quarterbacks have won Super Bowls. That's what I'll say. I'm not saying the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl, but worse quarterbacks have won Super Bowls than Jared Goff.
I know Peyton Manning's like one of the best, but when he won the Super Bowl, statistically, one of the worst quarterback seasons ever. Just saying.
So, all right, that's fair. That's fair. Let me stat wrap up. 4,400 yards. 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for Jared Goff.
That's a great ratio.
That's a great ratio. That's a winning ratio for whatever reason. I mean, not whatever reason. Their defense was pretty bad, so that's something that needs to be resolved for the Lions.
Stark was out for a lot of the year. I know he came on late, but I mean,
Jameson Williams healthy.
He was out the whole year.
I'm saying next season they're loading up. They're getting a lot, and he did finish. My bold prediction at the time about Jared Goff was I had him. I was like, I think I like him over Tom Brady at the time. It was Russell Wilson was the big one, and it was still early in the season where I was like, guys,
I gave you crap for that.
Yeah, Jared Goff's. I think I'd rather have him than a lot of these other guys. And he finished. I said I promised he would finish a QB1. He finished QB10 on the season, so that's a QB1 right there. So I'm happy with that bold prediction early on, and that's my dude of the year. So
yeah, take your victory lap. In division though, so I give you credit.
Yeah, no,
I'll go next if you want.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go for my favorite team, like kid that was insane this year, Josh Jacobs. Obviously, led the league in rushing. Didn't expect that at all, but going in such later rounds, like I think him and like Tony Pollard was like that kind of like RB dead zone. And if you got one of those players, you probably won your title this year, I would assume. So.
That's really good. I don't know what got into him, and is it the contract year thing? Is that what it is?
Speaking of offseason, that's going to be
that just like, I mean, he's 600 yards more than he's had ever.
That's
So
insane.
there's something there for sure. 12 touchdowns. He usually gets touchdowns, right? He's always had more than six, right? So he's good in that department. He didn't really up in that department, but the yardage, like that big jump in yardage, the big jump in yards per carry. Like I don't know what that is. Like you said, is it the burst? Is it him think he's so excited to leave the Raiders, which it seems like a lot of people are. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Some
I
aren't
think it was the
excited
O-line.
about it. I don't know.
yeah, no, and that's what it also too. You think about it, like some of these teams, like the O line is garbage. Colton Miller's very good left tackle, but I mean, if you go down the line after him, not great. Ever since Denzel Good retired, there hasn't been much there that whole line. So that was surprising too. That's a 15 or below offensive line that he did that behind. So and behind it was just a good just one offense. It wasn't like an elite offensive attack, right? Once you key on a card to Adams, Jacobs was getting locked down, but you saw him. He had multiple games. He had that weird calf injury or groin that he played through that didn't seem like he should. He picked up in the middle of the week. So he fought through everything this year, including playing on a really bad team. So
Yeah, he came out of nowhere. Obviously, it's really good. I'm just trying to figure out, like, does he just get the bag somewhere and then, like,
he
drop
has to,
off
right?
the face of the earth? Like, do you think he's not doing this again, right? Like,
I don't think I don't see him leading the league in rushing, but I mean, he's had 1,000 before. He gets 16. I see him getting 13 a year, like 1,300 a year. That seems like normal. Like he looks like he is always going to be a good touchdown scorer.
yeah,
You know what
he's
I mean?
definitely someone to monitor. Again, another player in the offseason that's very, very likely going to not be where they are now. So
Right, for sure.
Borderline RB1, RB2. So
Yeah.
can't see him fading off that.
No, I think
All right,
he has
Jake,
I'll go.
Yeah, go.
I'll go to my dude. A little bit of boring choice. Saquon Barkley, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, first 1,000-yard season since 2019. Obviously tore the ACL in week 2, 2020. So
Had the ankle issues as well. Yeah.
ankle issues last year that kept him off the field. So just great to see he's fully back. I think what makes it most impressive is just the Giants O-line struggles and the fact that they had absolutely zero wide receivers from like week 4 on. So losing Wan'Dale Robinson and Sterling Shepard, but like they're keen in the run, but they still couldn't stop him for the last half of the season.
And Barkley draft season wise, like he wasn't a guaranteed first rounder. Like I was seeing him in second round, and they were kind of off the train. And if anybody took the chance on him, and wherever it was in the second round, they got a great value there at that point.
He was a
57 catches too.
Oh yeah, because like you said, all the wide receivers are out. He had some receiving work too, but we did a 6-score future on him too because we expected him to have, if he can play a full season, he's an elite running back, and like you said, like he played majority of the season.
All right, let's get into the duds. This one's a little gross, but we don't have to hang on this too long. They're all gross. They're duds for a reason. But I'm going with Denver Broncos wide receiver. Could be either of them. But no, I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton. I think Jerry Jeudy's got the most promise there at that point.
I think Jeudy had an okay year. You can't really call him.
I think I'm giving Cortland Sutton this because I bought in probably too much, and this is like more of a personal thing for me. I bought it. I was ready to ride, man. I was so hyped. I was like, "This is it, man." I thought this was going to be the team, and I think obviously everybody did. They thought they were going to be really good, and they just were flat and bad. And I don't know who to blame, but I will say the offense did get a little better when Hackett left. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's who's to blame.
I guess he's going to take a lot of it. But yeah, I mean, he had 829 yards, 64 catches, 2 touchdowns. Finished as the wide receiver 43 though. He's somebody that was like drafted in rounds 3 or 4. And for a long time, he's like everyone was like, this dude's an alpha. Like he's the one. I don't know. The jury's still out, and we're this deep into his career. He might just not be the guy. I don't know.
I don't know if you mentioned he had the ACL tear, which cut him off a little bit.
Right.
I mean, he's. I don't know. You're right. He is in that point that like I don't know if he looks there. He has question marks now.
I will say he's good. He's just not. I don't think he's an alpha like top dog wide receiver. I don't know.
Jeudy should be helped like that. Like having someone like that good on the side should like be able to like take eyes off him. But it seems like I don't know. I don't think Russell Wilson's the full blame for him. Like I know you can do that for a bunch of other people on that team, but I think there's some issues with Sutton now too.
I think the last couple games of the season without Hackett and that Broncos offense is the worst thing that could have happened for fantasy football players who were invested in the Broncos, because now they're like, maybe I was onto something, and then next season they're going to come into it again. The hype's going to roll again. Are you going to take that chance? I don't know. I'm not going to go as invested on the Broncos.
I'm going to say I will right now. I don't know if it's early or not, but I mean, I just think like there's something wrong there, and I think it was always more than just Russell Wilson. Yeah. I think that like it was always bait for Rodgers to get there, and once the Broncos didn't get Rodgers, I was like, oh, it's Rodgers, Green Bay, Justin. Yeah. I was like immediately linked to it. But like no, once they didn't get him, I think it was like a shambles from there, and then they had to deal with the whole buying of the team. You know, the extension was already in place, but they announced it, you know, just to say like, oh, we have him, you know. So it was a weird year, and I think it wasn't all just, you know, I think you need to give that another chance. I don't think Russell Wilson's dumb. I think he can learn an offense in the offseason if you get an OC for him early or enough something in place. I mean, I don't know where Sean Payton's going, but wherever he goes.
He's interviewing.
Interviewing everywhere. Even Houston's like, hey, come here, even though he's not.
No, dude.
But he's just, like you said, he's interviewing everywhere. Excuse me. And I think Broncos have one of those teams that like the Rams that like had so many injuries that you look at their roster, like a lot of those people are long-term contracts that next year, like Randall Gregory should be fine. You know, their D-line should be fine. Someone should be able to unlock this offense. Javonte Williams is a different matter. His knee is all the way messed up. He's one of the bad ones. So that's one that's probably not going to come back. They might need to get a little stopgap running back. Should be easy. Just throw a little money. You have all that money now. Throw a little money, get something like a Melvin Gordon. Right? He's
not Latavius Murray again.
Murray, ultimate fill-in guy. I like that guy.
He's great. Like he can sit on his couch and get called and does years like this. So I love it. Yeah, but I mean, they can get someone like Dante Foreman or something like that, just something cheap like that, just to like stopgap until Williams good. That offense should be able to figure itself out because I don't think it's fully these players' fault.
This is going to be the Broncos are going to be another team that's like you're going to look at to see if they're making the right like coaching moves, and if again the hype can easily roll again with that team and get out of control, which is I'm going to fall sucker to, I think again. Yeah. Taylor, what's your dud?
Mine's Michael Pittman. I know, like, it looks like, oh, he had 99 catches. Cool. He had 925 yards. That's not a good correlation. I mean, he usually gets like 12 to 15 yards per like catch. Getting 9 yards a catch, it is a little indicative of the quarterbacks he had. Ryan can't throw 10 yards. So, like, I understand. But, like, Pittman just, like, he didn't look like he have to – sometimes I feel like the players need to elevate the game around them. Like, he didn't do anything extra. You know, his touchdowns were down too. I know that maybe is tied to quarterback play, but like he didn't look like individually he was able to do things himself. I mean, he's in the I don't want to like ruin your dud, Jacob, but like this is one of those guys too. 141 targets, only 99 catches. Like, what were you doing in those 42 opportunities? How many of them were the quarterback's fault? They can't be all, right? Just
can't be all, but the Colts. You could put a lot of blame.
No, I get it. Like this is a guy. I did this in some leagues. I expected to be a number one. Like I know Matt Ryan was dying off, but like I think Matt Ryan can still sustain.
I don't think anybody thought it would be that bad though.
Like, no, I don't think that was a huge drop off, and I don't even think the Colts did. And they're the one that did all the research. I was gonna say freaking. I think I got mad about Michael Pittman there. So I did all the like research on like on Ryan, and like they thought enough that like. At least you had like a year before Roethlisberger, right, where he's throwing 4 yards a pass, right?
Right, yeah.
But it just it didn't work out. The offensive line was weird too. That offensive line took a huge dip. That was one of the top 10 units. It was weirdly a bottom 5.
I don't really know why they shuffled stuff, but that's an exciting offensive team going into next year. I mean, you just need to figure out quarterback, but you got Alec Pierce, you got Paris Campbell, like they got weapons.
They have weapons, so like that's another team that's like. Get Jeff Saturday off the helm because he has no idea what he's doing. We all knew that.
Wait, he's got a plan though. Remember, he said he's got a. He's like, give me the job. I'll enact that plan. As if he didn't have the reins for like 10 weeks. He couldn't just done it.
There was always one video I remember watching that like there was plays going on and stuff, and I remember him just sitting there on the sidelines, not moving his mouth. And I remember someone on Twitter is like, "Is he coaching the team?" And I'm like. I don't know anymore. Like I'm like he literally wasn't moving his mouth, but things were getting things were going on around him. I was like, what is he just there? Like,
yeah,
but
I don't know. It's
more
weird.
Stuff in the back end to solidify, coaching, everything. Same with the Broncos. Those situations need to figure themselves out. But right now, yeah, that was a bad year. I think a lot of people reached on him, and I think rightly so. I think he had the opportunity to do well, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I'll give my dud real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Some dynasty buys and sells. Deontay Johnson, just a historic 147 targets with no touchdowns. Not going to be repeated
That's pretty good.
soon or maybe ever.
That's one of the unbreakable records that
yeah.
should have never been broken, and it got smashed by Deontay Johnson. Like, he crushed it. Like, imagine like Wayne Gretzky's record that, like 93 goals he has, and then someone just getting randomly like 115 one year. Like, that's like, it's like, how do you, it's insane, this record like that he's doing.
I don't want to put it all on Deontay Johnson. I mean, touchdowns are a certain percentage of luck, and there's multiple times he got stopped inside the 5 and all this stuff. So, but it's gonna be another interesting offseason topic. I mean, he today removed all references to the Steelers on social media. Pickens is already coming for his job. He finished like 80 yards short of him on like maybe half the targets. So Pickens is the guy to own in that offense.
Oh, in Dynasty for sure. Pickens is a good move, but he's somebody that's like, he does a lot with very little volume.
And now he should get, that volume was getting thrown to some other person randomly. I don't know why.
If he gets the full load, I don't know. Pickens might be pretty good.
Yes.
Pick it to Pickens is the way to go. That's
Claypool was also before he got traded, was also taking a decent share of the load we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And now that, if it's Pickens and then some other guy, I think, like you said, you're good. Pat Freiermuth, hopefully we haven't got any news right on the official.
He's MCL, so best news possible for him.
Yeah, not ACL, which is good. But I mean, he's good. I would say in fantasy drafts going next year too, talent wise, him and Pickett look like they like each other and they have a good connection. He's a good, talented tight end, I'd say.
Yeah, and tight ends again. It's if it's not Kelsey, it's dog water. Is really the
Did
emphasis
he really
here.
finish like 120 billion points?
The point differential. Absurd. If you did not have Kelsey, like I may never draft a tight end ever again. Like it's to that point where like as soon as somebody takes Kelsey before me, I'm out. That was
the realest thing you ever said. You were looking at our settings for our company league, and you were like, Taylor, does it like make sense that you have to draft Kelsey first? And I'm like,
it's literally he was a first round pick blocked in our league settings. Yeah.
Yes.
Tight end premium, honestly, top 5 pick. Like
he has to be now.
Kelsey.
Now before it was like, oh, do you get him at the bottom end of the first round? Oh, then it was like, 7 to 9. Do you get him? Now it's just like you said, top 5, no more.
The amount of points you see with him and opportunities. And granted, obviously he's been doing it for a long time. I still think he's got a few more years in him. I don't think that's really going to go away. I mean, as long as Patrick Mahomes is still there and he's still catching, you know what I mean? Like I don't think that's going to go anywhere. I don't know. Like the difference of him and everybody else is worth overdrafting.
It's absurd right now. It used to be a little different, but Andrews is dealing with his who's playing quarterback there, so like he's gonna drop off. Kittle seems like he's only good when when
Purdy's playing though.
No yardage.
Purdy throws him the ball. But I don't. There's just not a lot going on. Ideally you'd like to see the young up and comers like the Freiermuths and the Kyle Pitts, which. Could we just please?
Well, we have a whole offseason to get to that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
All right. If he didn't actually get injured and miss majority of the year, then he is everybody's dud list. Has to. Be. He got saved by the injury.
He very well could have just been dud on like a per game basis. Like he could have been dud. He could have qualified. But yeah. All right, let's get into this. Is our kind of dipping our toes into Dynasty as we're going to progress farther. Probably doing a show maybe every other week throughout the offseason as news comes out and is pertinent to Dynasty. But we're going to do Dynasty buys and sells immediately after the season's over, right? So right now, I know there's kind of like, it depends on how your league is, but there's always like a little lull, right? Especially before the draft, like after the season ends and you're just kind of sitting there where you're like, man, I'd like to do something, but if your trades are open, obviously, I don't know what about you guys in Dynasty, but like my trade's open right after the season's over. That's it. Boom.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Waivers don't run. I don't mess with the waivers though. I let that kind of sit for a little bit. But if you want to make some trades, I think this is where you want to go. These are some players that you're either trying to buy or trying to sell off to get some assets and maybe shift, whether it be just based on what you're trying to do. Like if your team's getting old, you're not competing anymore, you want to get a little younger. This is like I'll just like the top of the list right now. I put Dalvin Cook. And he may be a buy to some, but right now I think
he's a sell.
He's a sell.
Great,
He's a
dude.
sell. Yeah,
Dude.
so much so that I literally just did this like 3 days ago. My
Talk
Dynasty
about
League.
it. Tell me your trade that you did.
My Dynasty League. It's a one quarterback league. So I'm gonna be. I know I don't have a 2 QB Dynasty League right
It's
now. So
prehistoric. Like you're like a caveman with that league.
yeah, it's been in it for a few years. But yeah, at the time, what's funny is like by the time we realized we should be a 2 QB league, it's like we're already in it, right? Like it's hard to
Just
transition.
add like a super flex at the end. Just be like,
And then
"Ah."
what?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard because you've been valuing a position a certain way the entire time, and then all of a sudden now the person with 3-4 quarterbacks is just hit the lottery. So anyway, Dalvin Cook, I sold him for a first round pick, 2023 first. It's the last pick, a 12-team league. So I got the 112 for Dalvin Cook. I also do have Madison. Like I've had Madison as well, and I don't know where he's going to wind up because he's the one that's like, I mean, Dalvin Cook could be cut to save money, but he's still under contract technically. Madison is unrestricted free agent.
I like Madison too, and I think I'm going to say this a billion times. I think we believe the same thing that he could start somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah, he could. I didn't want every other time Dalvin Cook, and for whatever reason, Dalvin Cook got traded a lot in my Dynasty league. He got passed around quite a bit, but he would always get passed with Madison. Like they were like a tandem. It was like the value was if Dalvin Cook goes down, Madison's there. I didn't sell Madison this time because I want to see where he goes. So I just sold him for a late first round pick, and I'm actually pretty excited. I like the incoming crop of rookies that again we're going to get into a little bit farther down the line in the offseason. But yeah, I'm happy with that. Dalvin Cook's kind of sputtered out at the end of the year, and I'm not saying he's just fallen off, but I'm just. The writing's on the wall. I'd rather be, again, another one of those. You'd rather be a year early than a year late on Dalvin Cook because his value is going to plummet. So I'll take a first rounder for that. That's fine.
Yes, I agree.
I'll jump in with my buy. Very Kyle Pitts related, but and not going out on a limb at all. I think everyone's trying to buy him in every league possible. Drake London, absolute wide receiver one. He turns 22 in this offseason. Like he's doing all this before he's even like considered a second year player. All that stuff. Like the target share, the catches in traffic. We knew it was going to happen out of USC. He might not even be the best guy to come out of USC in the next 2 years with Jordan Addison, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Falcons. I don't think he saw that much of a dip with Ritter, so I think it's still his offense once picks come back.
Yeah, that's going to be another situation. They're not just going to give the keys to Ritter, right? They're going to try to figure something else out at quarterback.
That's my one issue with what you're saying. Ritter is definitely he sustained him. He had like 96 and 120 in 2 to 3 games. Ritter was there, but Ritter is not good at all.
But are they going to get worse at quarterback than Ritter? And
I don't think they get worse.
Sustained with that.
I don't think they get worse, but I just like.
But they also just gave Mariota like a deal. You know what I mean? Like that they brought Mariota in thinking so like that's where their head's at. So if they're doing that right, I don't know.
I don't know if they're saying no to Mariota off the bat either. I think that was just a weird situation. He was already like had a knee surgery, so they're like, oh, gone for the year probably. So that it's just going to be odd. Arthur Smith had Mariota in Tennessee as well. So.
Let's throw a hypothetical out for Drake London's future. Falcons go all in on Lamar Jackson. How are you feeling about Drake London?
Good, because Lamar Jackson's never he can throw to one guy.
Okay.
He needs a tall guy because the ball's sail high. So Drake London can get those.
All right, go get that. Yeah,
that's fair. All right, I just want to throw it out. I feel like Falcons could be in the realm of possibilities for Lamar Jackson.
I don't know if Lamar would agree with that, but I agree.
He's the one he just wants out, right? Are we to the point now?
Win too. Doesn't he want to win as well?
I don't think the Falcons are horrible. I mean, that division's horrible. Like it's up for grabs next year, especially if Brady leaves. That division, anybody can win. So
might be kind of trying to thread the needle to get the bag and win. So we'll see what kind of.
I don't think he wants to win, right? He wants
needle,
the bag. As you can see right now.
Right. I have a list of a bunch of people here.
Just rattle them off. Let's go.
We're talking about Lamar Jackson, actually. I would sell him. Even if he goes somewhere, it's going to be a worse team than the Ravens. The Ravens have the cookie cutter offense set for him and everything he does. I just don't see. And if he stays, they haven't really 100% helped gather talent around him.
Yeah.
I know Bateman got hurt. I'm almost close to saying that he's not really a 1-2. Like if we're talking about like alpha and like figured out, like I don't think I saw a lot from him.
Haven't
when
seen
he
it.
was
Yeah.
healthy. Yeah, and then this is like the second year like he's been out for a while, so
Missed fantasy playoffs 2 years in a row.
yep. So
I think Jackson's somebody that definitely like I would consider if I had him, especially in a 2 QB league. Let's obviously that's super flex. A lot of people are that's majority, I think, at this point in
I would get
Dynasty.
rid of him now before he
Try to get an early draft pick. Try to get an early
Yeah.
first and try to get one of these. There's a lot of good quarterbacks coming in this draft. And I feel like in a super flex draft, if you can get a decent like early first round pick, you can come away with somebody that might be a better long-term prospect for you. So that's not a bad move.
Yeah, sticking to quarterbacks, buys is Deshaun Watson. I think after a full offseason, I think he's going to be good. And he still has Chubb. I know Kareem Hunt will probably not be there, but they'll just get another backup running back. Mari Cooper's there. Peoples-Jones figured it out, and he looks like he's a nice talent as a wide receiver too. They're going to figure out the slot receiver spot. They didn't yet. David Bell doesn't look like he was a good wide talent on rookie, but maybe he'll figure it out. Tight end, Njoku looks like he finally figured it out too. So that's an offense that's going to click. Defensively, there is a lot of talent there, but there's also a lot of stuff that's going to be flipping around there too. Clowney's gone. The linebackers are all messed up. Anthony Walker's like 100 years old. They have to figure some stuff out over there. But I think that team has enough that on the offensive side for Deshaun Watson to be good. Sorry,
I'm not going to hard disagree with you on this.
Right.
But I think we need to factor in how bad he looked when he popped in. Obviously, he's been out of the game for a long time and in the middle of the season to jump in. But like, I think people expect a little more from him in this instance. Something like a couple flashes. I didn't see.
I just wasn't expecting anything at all.
Yeah.
I didn't. There's no way he could be good after being out for that long. So like, I think it can only go up.
So you're saying like this is like a buy low. Somebody has him is like, I don't want this guy. You could buy low and profit. There's
got to be multiple people like you that are not fully sold on.
Yeah, if I had him on my roster, I'd be poking the bear and seeing what's going on. Like, yeah.
So we'll go to running back here. I think Cam Akers is a buy. I think the last couple games he kind of figured it out. He looked much better. The whole running back situation is his. Obviously, next year they're definitely going to pass a lot more, right? Because they'll have hopefully a healthy Stafford if he comes back. Kupp's going to be back. Robinson's going to be back. So I get there'll be more passing attempts, but the offensive line also was a mess this year, and it will get healthier as well. So I think this is also just multiple years off his Achilles tear and just like figuring it out. We saw Dante Foreman this year. He's one of those key, prime examples, seeing a kid have multiple years off an Achilles tear and be able to plod through and play well. So I think Akers has all the ability, and I think a lot of people are not sold on that, and I think you could take advantage of that.
Yeah, I have Cam Akers. He was somebody that I thought was a dead asset halfway through the season.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people did. And if hopefully you didn't sell, because now it feels like there's like a pretty decent amount of value heading into next year. So that's somebody that is definitely going to be interesting to watch.
All right, I have two wide receivers too, one buy and one sell. Sell is Keenan Allen, and I love that Keenan Allen went off these last couple games.
Yeah.
Because then it helps it even more push because he's getting older now. I see him getting hurt every single year now, even more so, and he's a soft tissue machine, which is usually a bad case when you get over the age of 30. For people that are athletic, not us, we're okay with these soft tissues, but those players, he's very, very shifty, very great route runner. So he needs to cut. He relies on that his hamstring and also calves and groins.
He had like a 6-week hamstring that he shook off, and then now everyone's all high on him again.
Because
he missed 6 weeks to start the year.
Exactly, and that's what this great run can help you. So if you have Allen, then try to jump on this because he does have that cool thing that he's going to be latched to Justin Herbert, who's going to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback for years. We all know this, just like Josh Allen is, right? So, but I just don't think that he's 100% going to be the number one for the whole time. I love Mike Williams. Mike Williams is a good too, but they're eventually that's someone that if Allen goes somewhere, Palmer's a good 3, but they find a good little guy in the draft or they go for agency and get somebody after Allen's good, then it's going to be a different guy. But I think it's worrisome to rely on him. But I think a lot of people, especially after this little run at the end of the year, are going to maybe draft him high again next year too, or thinking they're going to get more out of him and he might not do this. Like you said, old people, soft tissues takes them longer to 6-week hamstring is the definition of that kind of case. Like it should usually be a 2 to 4, right? And then like if it's 6, and he had a re-aggravation in the middle.
Right.
So a buy I have is this is just a recent news of DeAndre Hopkins might get traded, and I do think they're also going to have a shift of coaching staff that should help them. That should benefit. Hopefully, they get someone that really wants to work with Kyler, because Kyler doesn't seem like he wants to work with anybody from the news and stuff that you hear about it. So hopefully, they have somebody. So tied into this is Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown is the number 1 receiver there when he was healthy without DeAndre. We saw it. We pumped him up I believe in the podcast early to start the year. He was it until DeAndre came back. And then he had that foot issue that I don't think he was 100% healthy, when he first came back.
And then he had David Lau thrown to him and Colt McCoy.
Yeah,
Sorry, not to throw Colt McCoy.
Offense started getting shifty, all messed up. Offensive line was crushed, right? But I think Marquise Brown, once they get rid of Hopkins, which I assume they will, Marquise Brown is back to being the number 1 again. And I don't think they're going to replace Hopkins with they're not doing a Treylon Burks, AJ Brown situation. I think so many other holes in that team, they're going to do something else there. They're not. So I know Kyler for sure is going to be out for maybe the first couple games of the year next year, but whoever's throwing in that stopgap should be targeting Marquise Brown a lot. I don't think that messes value, because I think now you can get a guy that people don't know for sure is going to be a number 1, that I believe is going to be a number 1 on a team that should be clicking well. They have the talent. They were just injury crushed, and the coaching staff clearly we're not getting out of it.
Marquise Brown without DeAndre Hopkins was awesome. Like I wanted him everywhere, and then but then you had to kind of know that like DeAndre Hopkins is coming. You don't know what that's going to do, and he did take a hit, but there's going to be some big shuffling going on with the Cardinals in general. There already is. The ball's already rolling, so that's going to be another thing. Like you said, it's something you want to monitor. And if you can get it ahead of the situation, and maybe you pay off where they sell DeAndre Hopkins, they don't really replace him.
Yep.
Now's the time to kind of cash in on that before Hopkins goes and the season starts, and then you're like, oh crap, Marquise Brown is the guy now, which I think he definitely is capable of doing. But yeah, there's a lot of shifting parts going around in the offseason with the NFL. I think it's gotten a lot spicier in recent years. I know the NBA has kind of taken the cake for the best offseason, but last offseason for the NFL is absurd, and the trade deadlines are spicing up too. So like things are getting kind of crazy going, and I'm excited to follow it.
Crazier. Like all this money is getting shifted around. I think it just gets crazier and crazier. People are more and more not wanting to lock in on players, and they'd rather just flip them. Like that's what I see. It happens every sport. You're seeing it in basketball too. Like I think it's just a different mindset. Like
in 20 years from now, people like us who have been playing fantasy football forever are gonna be GMs eventually, right? So they're gonna be cutthroat. They're gonna be ruthless, right? They're gonna be like, I'm done. He's old. He hit 30 and he's old. Get him out of here.
He was the worst one shooter after he was the best 1 year. Done.
Yeah, out of here. It's gonna be crazy. Now again, like this offseason is gonna be wild. We'll be following it. Another fantasy football show. If you haven't already, you can follow us at SixScore, Twitter, all social media. It's at SixScore. You can check it out. I think Instagram might be at Sports Injury Central, but you'll just search Sports Injury Central. You'll find us everywhere. You can watch full episodes if you're listening to audio. You can watch it on our YouTube channel as well, Sports Injury Central. Hit subscribe everywhere, and if you can, rate and review. That'd be greatly appreciated. But it's 2022-2023 NFL fantasy football season's officially in the books. Let's enjoy these playoffs, and we'll be back in a couple weeks to dive a little deeper into Dynasty fallout, which is kind of scary, but it's going to be fun. I'm really excited to get into this crop of rookies. This 2023 class has been hyped beyond belief, so it better pay off.
Beyond belief, yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Well, real quick, anybody want to give any shout out? I know your team. Jacob, you're the only one with a team still alive in the playoffs. So real quick, do you think your 49ers can do it?
Against Seahawks, yeah. I don't know about beyond that.
Okay. That's the confidence I like to hear.
There you go.
I'll take it when we get one day at a time. We're good.
All right. You're on that Purdy schedule. By the way, another Dynasty thing. People are on that Purdy train right now. I don't know what's going on with that, but if Purdy's on your team.
What is it?
Trent Williams is healthy.
Rock and roll and Purdy all night or something like that?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
We'll follow him in the offseason. I don't think he'll be a starting quarterback though next season, but we'll see. It'll be a hell of a backup though, but we'll see. All right, let's
There
hit
you
the button now. I'm going to start the music, and we're going to get out of here, okay? I'm going to hit the button. As you can hear, I've hit the button. Hit the button. All right, see you guys later. Bye.